Hi everyone, I'm Kelly Jones with TheHeroAwakens.com and welcome to my channel. Today has been 80 days since I started back on my diet on May 18th. I originally started my diet on January 1st, 2021, and I was doing keto and I really enjoyed it, but I kind of got away from everything. But then on May 18th, I started back. And I have been very committed to not quitting no matter since then. And today has been 80 days since I started back on my diet on May 18th. And I thought that I would share with you some updates on how the weight loss has gone, how much I've lost, what I've been eating, and I even have like calorie averages for this time period and everything. So some good statistics to see like what worked for me and maybe it could work for you too. Today I am going to share what I ate mostly the last 80 days. I'm going to share my calorie average of everything I ate for the last 80 days, and then I'm going to weigh in. I'll probably also put my measurements on here and all of that as well, so that a good check-in point for how it's going so far. So if you're interested in all that, please keep watching. Okay, so here's what I ate, what I've mostly been eating the last 80 days. And for any of you, if you have watched my other videos, you already know, but if you haven't, I have had some GI tract and allergy issues this summer, some pretty bad ones. And so I've been on a pretty limited diet from my doctor, and I haven't had a lot of food options this summer, but I've been very careful to make sure I track everything and do what I need to do. So mostly for a big part of this time period, I just ate rice, chicken, olive oil, and pink salt because it was basically all that my tummy could handle. But now, since that went on for about 5 weeks of this 80 days, and 80 days is a little over 11 weeks, so about a little half of this is what I ate that. But now I've added things like protein shakes and mashed potatoes made with water, no other, no milk or anything like that, just mashed potatoes mashed with water, and then butter. I've added butter, and that's still about it. So it's not like I have a lot of stuff. I've also had a few like elemental shakes, which are, I don't know, they're just kind of like meal replacement shakes that kind of help with digestion and stuff like that. But that's basically it. That's everything I've been eating. So not a lot of news there. As far as working out and taking my dance classes and ballet classes like I was doing, I haven't been doing that yet either. I have worked out just a little bit here and there, but not anything significant that I think would really contribute or help with, not anything that I think would really help with my weight loss yet, but I'm about to get back into all of that. Okay, so for my calorie average, okay, I didn't track the first couple of weeks that I was on my diet back in May, but in June, starting at the beginning of June, I started tracking, and so this average is from everything from then. So like during this entire time period, except for the first couple of weeks that I started back on my diet. And so everything that I've eaten, everything averaged together came out to, 1,207 calories. So I averaged 1,270 calories this whole time period. Okay, so now I'm gonna do my weigh-in. Hi, I'm gonna weigh in. It is 2:37 Friday, August 6, 2021. And I'll put my phone here. Okay, so that is 218 pounds, so I'm still losing, yay. It is 2:38 Friday, August 6, 2021, and have a nice day. Bye-bye. Okay, yeah, so I actually had kind of a big loss this week, and it put me at losing, what was it, since May 18th until now, August 6th, I have lost 27.8 pounds, and that's in 80 days. And what that averaged out to, I divided it by 80 and then times it by 7, and what that averaged out to is 2.43 pounds a week. So I ate an average of 1,207 calories a day during this time period since I started back on my diet, and I lost an average of 2.43 pounds a week. And that is over about 11 weeks. And so, I mean, that probably seems about right, because, you know, I'm at a higher weight. You tend, you know, when you first start diets and are at higher weights, you tend to lose a little bit more. So 2.4 pounds is probably about average for that. And I think a lot of people eat about 1,200 calories. So, you know, when they're trying to lose weight, some people may feel like that's a little low, but that's what mine averaged out to. And I never was starving during this whole time period. There were many days that I ate a lot more than that, and then quite a few days I ate less than that too. But that was the average. So yeah, so I think that's kind of interesting to see. I don't know if you're like me. I think that kind of stuff is neat, because I'm kind of thinking about, okay, what's working and how is it working? You know, try to break it down. So I lost 27.8 pounds this past 80 days, which came out to an average of 2.43 pounds a week, and I ate an average of 1,207 calories a day. So that's the statistics. And okay, so now I thought that I would have a little video that I'm going to show that kind of shows that, and also I'll show some of my before and after measurements and things like that. So here it is, right here. All of my stuff. So I don't know, I think that's kind of neat to look at. I'm just so excited I've stuck to it this time. There's just been so many times in the past few years that I've tried to diet and I just and you know, that leads me to something I really want to share with this, and I've kind of talked about it a good bit in some other videos, but it has just made the biggest difference, and I just really want to share it because it, you know, in case it could help any of you too. But one of the things, let me see, I wrote it down. The biggest thing that I have noticed with losing weight and sticking to my diet this time that is different from all the times before when I kept giving up on myself and giving up on my diet is not what I always thought it would be. Like, I always just felt like if I was just stronger, if I just had more willpower, if I was stronger and if I just had more willpower, then I could do it. But what I had figured out that is not it. Like, I think that if you're hungry enough, it's going to overtake most anybody's willpower. And if you set goals that, or for me, I feel like I kept setting goals, and I kept setting goals that were not good for me. Like, they were not goals that I could realistically stick to. And I also had my expectations for how I felt like I should do the diet were way too high. So it was those kind of things that really kept me failing time and time again. It actually wasn't anything to do with how strong I was or my willpower, but just how I looked at stuff and the kind of goals. And I know that, like, you may be thinking, like, so you have to set goals that are smaller. I really don't think that's it either, because it has to be this balance. Like, I think that with goals, it has to be this balance to where it's something that when you imagine reaching it, it gives you butterflies, but it's not something that's too hard to do either. And what I mean is, like, in the past, like, I would set goals, like I would want to eat the healthiest diet, and I wanted to eat it just like this and eat exactly this many calories, and then I would, and then if I didn't meet that kind of, design that I had for myself, then I would just feel like, oh, forget it, I've just got to start over. So what I'm really saying is, I'm not saying that my goals was like to lose less weight or the things that like that. It was more of just how to get there that I changed the goals. I decided that, it just may not be exactly how I'm imagining it ahead of time. And I gave myself room for that and room for it to change and alter as I went. And that made the biggest difference. And so, like, I don't know, there's just a few things, and I've mentioned these in different ways in other videos, and I'm just going to mention them here again. So it's just that I had to adjust how I set my goals, and I just needed a little bit of a change to my mindset and how I viewed it. And these were just a few of the things that really made all the difference, so much more than feeling like I needed to have this really strong willpower. But the first thing was just that I kept my goals. The first thing was I just kept my goals very simple. It didn't have to be an elaborate diet that was perfectly, for example, I am about to start a Wall's protocol diet for my health, and I can talk more about that later. It's just a really healthy diet. It's for your health, more than weight loss. I think if you need to lose weight, you'd probably lose weight on it. But it really helps with healing your health. It's Wall's protocol, and in the past, I felt like when I started something like that I needed to do it perfectly. Like whatever the doctor said to do, I needed to do that every single day, exactly as they mentioned. But this time I'm like, you know what? I'm doing the Wall's protocol, and I already know it's going to be slightly modified to meet my needs. For example, I don't really like to cook. I like to cook on special occasions. It's a lot of fun. But daily, I don't like to spend hours and hours in the kitchen because there's other things I'd rather be doing with my time than that. And so I know that a lot of the things with Wall's protocol you have to make from scratch, and so I'm giving myself freedom there. It doesn't have to be perfect. I'm going to allow myself to have some protein shakes and some packaged things, not tons and tons, not enough to where I don't think that the diet would be helpful, but just enough to where it eases, my responsibility with it or my stress level with it. And so that's like a perfect example. So that is keeping it simple, and it's setting a goal that is reachable for me, and it's not maybe going to change the outcome. Does that make sense? Okay, so that's number one, keep it simple. And then the second goal that I set for myself I'd been kind of saying it for the past year, but I really dedicated to this mindset shift back in May when I started back on my diet, was to show up. And what I meant, I actually got that from, there is this woman who wrote a book called, what was that name of that book? What is the name of that book? I have it right over here. It's this woman who wrote a book called Bright Line Eating. It's a really interesting book. If y'all haven't ever read it, you should check it out. She has some really interesting theories on weight loss and everything. It's interesting. It's a good book. And I watched a few of her. She would send emails with little, tidbits to keep you motivated and stuff. And there was one that she sent where she talked about how she used to be, years ago, she was a drug addict, and she talked about how she got her life back together after something like that. And what she said is, like, she just committed to herself that every day she would show up to her meetings. And I just thought that was it clicked something in my head. It made it make sense to me. Show up. So I was like, okay, so I'll make simple goals and then commit to show up every day. So she's like, if I was tired, it didn't matter. I just committed to show up. And so she showed up to her meetings, and like one day at a time, without really seeing the future, it just happened. She overcame her addiction, or however you word that, I'm not sure. But she was able to get past that and succeed with her goals there. And so that is what I started doing, and that worked with this as well. So number one, keep it simple. Number two, show up. Just show up to whatever you say you're going to do, show up for it. And then the third thing, the biggest thing that really, really, really helped me stick to it this summer, because this summer kind of knocked me sideways and a lot of stuff happened, but I just committed to not quit. And so I could change things, I could adjust them. It could look like my game plan could look completely different than it did when I started out, but I wouldn't quit. Those are three of the biggest things that really has helped me stick with this. And some of you may know all of these, and you may know more that are even more helpful than these, but these are just the ones I have learned so far, and I just really wanted to share them with you guys in case you haven't heard them and in case it would help you, because they've helped me so much. And these things I have just collected. Either I just kind of came up with them, or I saw them in places like that, like one little thing at a time I would hear or see somewhere and kind of put it into my own life, and it was working. And I really wanted to share them with y'all, and I have more, but I can share them later. But those three right there really, I would say, is what helped me stay committed for the past 80 days. So let's hope it just keeps going longer and longer. Also, I wanted to mention that on my website, heroawakens.com, I've been trying to put together things that, I don't know, there's still a lot to be done there. At least at this point right now when I'm recording this, I still have a lot to do on it. But I just wanted to start sharing it because I'm trying to think of things to come up with that would help you guys and help me be more involved, to help me be more involved like with helping other people and stuff. And I don't know for sure, but I'm kind of thinking like meetings. I've mentioned that quite a few times in other videos, but I don't know, like meetings or something like that. Just a way that other people who have some of these goals similar to mine, that we can come together and support each other in like a very friendly, welcoming place where you feel heard and supported. And so if you're interested in something like that, please check out my website. So I guess that's about everything. I always try to share this because this is something that I had to figure out for myself, because after the last, several years, I started kind of thinking that, I don't know, I had just failed at my diet so many times and failed at any goal I said. It just seemed like it just seemed so different than in my past. It just seemed like I couldn't stick to anything. And I was starting to think that this was going to be my new normal, my new way of life, that I just needed to just give up from before and what all I've had before. But that is not true. And that is, if any of you are feeling that way, like I keep trying and it just isn't happening, and so maybe it's just not supposed to. I'm just pleading with you, please don't give up on yourself. Don't give up on the things that you feel in your heart that you really are supposed to make happen in your life. Like if it is to reach a healthy weight, if it's to set other kind of health goals or other goals, whatever they are, don't give up on yourself, please don't. And just know that there's resources out there, there's places to go, and for you to figure out how to get to where you want to get and to make your dreams come true. So no matter what, don't give up on yourself. It's not too late. It hasn't been too long for you to have the life that you'd really like to have and make your dreams come true. And maybe the final dreams won't be exactly what you're picturing now, because what you want may change, but it will be better than where you are now. Like whatever comes will be better than where you were, even if it's not exactly what you pictured, or at least that's what I'm figuring out. And you may already know that too, but I don't know if you're like me, I like to hear other people say it because it makes it feel real. Like, yeah, that's what I thought, So yeah, what you're thinking is right. It is right. Yes. And you do have it in yourself to create the life you'd really like to have. So thank you very much for watching, and yes, 80 days down. I'm so glad. And a whole lot more days to go. All right, well, have a wonderful day. Thank you. Bye-bye.